refinishing this door. So I finished it not too long ago and didn't really like the looks of it. I missed out a critical step, which is to use shellac before staining. So I ended up with some dark spots I didn't like. I did not take off the hardware, so I can see little marks there around the pieces of hardware. It would look a little bit different, and I didn't like the looks of that. So I did take out the hardware for this. I did sand down part of it, put the shellac, stained it, and liked the looks of it. Did that here and here, but you can see down at the bottom where there's some splotchiness and uneven, same way with up at the top. So I'm going to be taking this off again, re-sanding it, staining it after shellacking it this time, and then this time varnish it, which I didn't do before. So since there's no varnish on this, it should be a little easier for me to sand through it, which would be nice, but we'll do it the right way this time. So things that we're going to be needing for this project: denatured alcohol, shellac, and again, this is a real critical step. These will be mixed in a 50-50 mixture. Your stain. This is just for cleanup on my brush. Mineral spirits. A decent quality to good quality paintbrush. If you use a cheap disposable like this here, you're going to end up with these streaks that are going to look really bad. And then these typically, it's pretty easy for these hairs to come out. Then you've got to sit there and dip them out. So get yourself a good paintbrush. It's definitely worth the money. Fast drying varnish. Containers to put your stuff in, your shellac and your stain and your varnish. Sanding pads. Random orbital sander. I bought this one at Home Depot. It's really cheap, and I've actually used it a lot. I will be using a mouse, which isn't quite necessary. This will help me in these little corners to get as much of the stain off as I possibly can. That is it. I would like to say you probably can get by using these this type of disposable. This is made by God, who makes these? You can find them they're bigger pads. You can find them at Home Depot, Lowe's, or Walmart. But what I like doing for small projects especially is that you can cut these up. So these cost like $2, but you can break off little pieces if you just need to touch up a little bit of paint. If you need a larger pad, you can half them. If you need the full pad, you can use it like that, and then just throw them away when you're done, and it doesn't have the cleanup. So I do really like these, especially for small little projects. Okay, whenever you're taking your door off its hinges, be sure to be very careful. You'll probably want to get a second person at least to help you get this door off. These are, especially this one, this is a very tall door, 8-foot door. It's going to be really heavy and hard to get around, so a second person will really help you out. But to get the hinges off, just take a small screwdriver and a little hammer. You just place it in the bottom of the hinge. It comes out like this right here. Yeah, it's heavy. Very heavy. little bit of useful information here on your sandpaper. Whenever you're sanding something, don't wait until this thing is just absolutely worthless. Replace your sandpaper when you start noticing it not cutting properly. It'll save you a lot of time and a lot of strength just to replace that so it keeps on cutting. Sandpaper, when bought in bulk, is pretty cheap. Cutting anymore, time to change the sandpaper. Careful along these edges. I don't want to sand this corner really bad because then it'll round it over, whereas this is kind of a sharp edge, so I don't really want to change that. If you've got edges like that on your door. Okay, just so you know, this has been about 30 minutes of sanding. Felt like it was about 4 or 5 hours, but it was only about 30 minutes. So it doesn't take too long to do all the sanding. I'm not going to be getting in the little creaks, crannies in here, just because it would be very difficult, and I don't really want to screw up these edges. So I'm going to go ahead and stain first, shellac this time. I'll shellac it, I'll stain it, and then once that dries, I will varnish it. Let's learn how to mix our shellac. This would also be a good time to clean off your project, to get all this sawdust off of it. You don't want any of the sawdust on when you're shellacking, varnishing, or staining your door. I'm going to start off by blowing it off. You can get a damp rag and just wipe it down really good a couple times to get the majority of this sawdust off. I'm going to blow it, and then I'll still wipe it down with the wet rag or damp rag. all the extra sawdust that I got off of that. You definitely don't want that on there when you're varnishing and staining and shellacking. You won't need a lot of shellac for this. A little kind of goes a long way. So we'll spill this everywhere. This over here. Using this cup as kind of a measuring device, going up to the lines here. This should be about a 50-50 mix. Okay, it is time to shellac. This is a very important step. We'll make sure that your stain is a lot more even with the project. You can use a paintbrush, or you can use just a paper towel or a rag. I'm going to go ahead and give that 20 minutes or so to dry, and then I'll come back to stain. You really want to make sure that your stain is well shook. If you just bought it, or you could take it back up to the store, they have shakers where they can shake this for you. You can pop open the top and mix it with a stirring stick as well, but this pigment will really go down to the bottom, and then it'll be very clear at the top, so it won't give you a good coat of stain unless you make sure it's well mixed. So here we go, we'll see how it looks. Oh yeah, this is a huge difference from before, when I didn't use the shellac. So I'll be putting this on, waiting a couple minutes, and then wiping it off. Now you can see these beautiful grains of wood, really brings those out. This is the fun part of this project, the shellacking, the staining, the varnishing. I really enjoy. The sanding I could do without, but it's not too much sanding. It takes you about, what I say, about 30 minutes. This is a little bit on the darker side down here. The wood's absorbing a little bit more, so I'm going to go ahead and wipe it off. A couple areas here that's kind of splotchy. I'm just going to do those a little bit darker. I'm going to put the stain on again, let that really soak in, just to kind of make it look a little bit more even. Let that dry, and I'll come back and varnish it. Okay, I am ready to varnish now. I want to use a decent brush, good for varnishes. I've got my quick drying varnish, a container to put it in, screwdriver to open it up. Here we go. You don't want to stick your brush directly into here. It will contaminate after you have start varnishing. You put your brush back in there, you're going to contaminate the jar. It's best to pour out what you're going to need. That should definitely be plenty. Best to go from one side to the other. You don't want to be going back and forth. Once this starts to dry, if you go over it again with your brush, it can leave some pretty heavy brush marks or pull the varnish, and you don't really want that. So I'm just going to start at this corner and work my way down. Okay, all done with the first coat, so I'm going to let this sit here for about 2 hours, and then I'm going to come back, sand it very lightly, and then apply a second coat. And here we go for my second coat. Is it. I am all finished. I probably could have taken the time to repaint the iron on here, but I'm done. Be sure to tell me how you like it, and if you have any questions, just put them down in the comments. I'll be sure to answer them.